He was the great champion of the faith against the widespread heresy of Arianism, the teaching by Arius that Jesus was not truly divine. The vigor of his writings earned him the title of Doctor of the Church. Born of a Christian family in Alexandria, Egypt, and given a classical education, Athanasius became secretary to Alexander, the Bishop of Alexandria, entered the priesthood, and was eventually named bishop himself. His predecessor, Alexander, had been an outspoken critic of a new movement growing in the East, Arianism. When Athanasius assumed his role as Bishop of Alexandria, he continued the fight. At first, it seemed the battle would be easily won, but that didn't prove to be the case. The Council of Tyre was called, and for several reasons that are still unclear, the Emperor Constantine exiled Athanasius to northern Gaul. This was to be the first in a series of travels and exiles reminiscent of the life of St. Paul. After Constantine died, his son restored Athanasius as bishop, but it lasted only a year, and Athanasius took his case to Rome. Pope Julius I called a synod to review the case and other related matters. 5 times, Athanasius was exiled for his defense of the doctrine of Christianity. Among his ascetical writings, his Life of St. Anthony achieved astonishing popularity and contributed greatly to the establishment of monastic life throughout the Western Christian world. ChatGPT can now shop for you too. OpenAI announced Monday that users will soon be able to shop through ChatGPT, rivaling Google Shopping. The AI-powered search shopping buttons are rolling out to everyone with the app installed, including guest users without an account. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, but we do know that Mike Church will give you a chance to win his pound of gold, and all you have to do is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
So let's go back.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
You know, the Democrat Party ought to just take its cards, stick them back in the deck, and go home. Every nanosecond that goes by, this stupid Gilmore, Abrego, Super MS-13 gangbanger gang member story gets worse if it's possible. We'll tell you all about it. Boy, folks, the job news, the economic news out today, absolutely incredible. We'll tell you about that. Mike Church Show here live on the Crusade Radio Network. And glad to have you with us out there at 990 AM WGSO, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Do it! Or a Hawaiian shirt made into a tie.
It's free phone.
Yes, it is a free phone Friday. Today you are charged with the task of telling us what it is we'll talk about in this brief Powuh Hour of the program. Today is the first day, it's kickoff day of the Win a Pound of Gold contest. And I remain amazed at the reaction of some to the Win a Pound of Gold contest. It's a real deal, real story, real pound of gold. We even had Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, who is the metal sponsor of the contest, on the program today. Talking about we talked about the economy and what have you, and talking about his role in the Win a Pound of Gold contest. I knew I shouldn't have had that last almond during the last timeout. They always say, it's always the last almond that gets you. And the last almond just had a little sliver, and it just went right down the wrong pipe, and it just stuck right there. It's like, I never wanted to be throat punched, but if ever there was a time to be throat punched, it would be now. Our call-in line telephone number is 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. I played the golden sound of the day to kick off the Win Yourself a Pound of Gold contest. It's a real deal. Go to the website, winapoundofgold.com. You can buy tickets. When you buy a ticket, you become an affiliate. If you want to use your affiliate link and sell more tickets, every 5 tickets you sell, you get 1 free. So your one $50 investment, easily, one guy's already turned his $50 into, 6 tickets already. So you want 1 ticket, and now he's got 6 free. So winapoundofgold.com, but I haven't played the soundbite yet today. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You should have been listening at 6 a.m., but if you do hear one and you think it is, then you would use the call-in line telephone number, and Maggie will tell you what caller number that, if you're the correct caller number, and we'll throw you on the air and give you a ticket. This just in, and I will tell you about Abrego Garcia and the latest as we continue to find out. You can almost just, okay, if Donald John Trump comes out and says something, believe it. If he comes out and because when he's arguing with Terry Moron of ABC News, look, Terry, no, we're not moving on to Ukraine. Look, he's gang, okay? They have the picture. They got the picture. Did you see the picture? There it is, the picture right there. It says MS-13. What about the president? No, that's a Photoshop. That's not Photoshop. Stop saying it's Photoshop. It's not Photoshop. If Donald Trump comes out and tells you something, and he says it, and then other people around him are repeating it, here's a rule that we have learned. There is not a retraction coming. If they're all out there saying it, it's true. So when Stephen Miller 3 weeks ago came out and said, this guy's a gangbanger, he's a freaking gang member, believe it. And now, I mean, if you're one of these Democrats that's still out there on the steps of the Capitol doing the hip-hop Abrego Garcia shuffle, What in the hell is wrong with you? So I guess, you want the American people to be, I can't wait to see the TV ads that they're going to run. Poor, despondent gang members. They need American homes, too. And that's why I'm asking for your vote this November. There aren't enough gangbangers in the United States, and there certainly aren't enough gangbangers that are wife beaters. Well, we in the Democrat Party plan to fight the evil Trump policy that wants to get rid of the wife-beating gangbangers. We believe in a free country for gangbanging wife beaters. Literally, that's the ad. That's not even much of an exaggeration. Here's some late breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, economists suck. Suck. That's right, they suck. An economist. Let me explain to you what an economist is. You remember that Clark and Dawes bit about quantitative easing? Here's what an economist is.
Thank you very much for your time tonight.
It's my great pleasure to be with you. Good
Now,
evening.
you're an economist working in the banking sector, yeah?
I am. Should I get a lawyer? I think I'm entitled to legal representation if we're going to discuss my work.
No, this is just a few simple questions.
Simple questions? Yeah. How simple?
Well, they're theoretical.
Theoretical. I can deal, okay, we can deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't hold me to the answers, but...
Why not?
Well, because
Why
I'm
not?
an economist and I can think of a different set of circumstances under which my responses might vary somewhat.
And everything's connected to everything else, isn't it?
In economics, I'm afraid that is the global fear right at the moment, yeah.
Now, right, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Well, you can't hold me to the answers. Why not? Well, because I'm an economist, and some different set of circumstances may come up in the next hour or so that would change my prediction. Every economist on Earth got it wrong. They all said, well, these tariffs are going to kill jobs. Yeah, Trump, your stupid job numbers in April are going to be crap. You hear me? Crap. Well, the job numbers came out today, and the big headline is every economist on Earth sucks. They all got it wrong. The Trump economy beat the job estimate by the Wall Street Journal Board of Economic Advisors, whatever in the Hades that is, beat it by 50,000 jobs. Now, to some people, if you're an Obama or a Clinton or a Kamala heels up, cackle shape Harris, that's a rounding error. Peanuts, so what? To real folk like me and Ewan, that's real, those are real jobs. But here's the big number that no one is talking about. You want me to give you the big economic headline of the day, my friends? Native-born workers surge by over 1 million workers. 1 million back to all-time high as government employees crater. If you're a teat-suckling parasite, I hope there is a pink slip in your near future. I really do. And it's not because I hate you or I'm not even going to question your character, although I should. You need to go out and find something productive to do. What do? I'm a civil servant. No such thing. Next. What do? No, really, I'm a civil servant. No, you're not. Next. What do? Just say teat suckler, dude. Just say parasite. The correct term is parasite. If you would just say parasite, I'll shut up. For much of the past 4 years, reports Tyler Durden of Zero Hedge. For much of the last 4 years, we dutifully reported month after month how the United States labor market under the Biden regime grew almost entirely on the back of foreign-born workers, who, as we also first revealed and eventually was widely accepted, were primarily illegal, alien, criminal trespassers. Emphasis mine. And then there's a couple of articles that he links to here. Great replacement job shock. 1.3 million native-born Americans just lost their jobs, replaced by 635,000 immigrants. You know, as I have been saying since Make America Great Again got elected in November, and as January when we saw what was actually going to make up the Trump administration, here, and we had to go find the tape for our WAPOG. When you hear me say WAPOG, that's win a pound of gold, WAPOG. We were making our WAPOG A-Team commercials, and I asked Maggie, I said, can you find me it's going to be the golden age of America begins today. This was the first sentence in Trump's inauguration speech. Did you know that? You have to go back and remember. The first sentence in the inauguration speech was, the golden age of America begins today. You know how they say when you get a new novel, a new fiction book or whatever, or if you're pitching one to a publishing company, what's the first thing a good editor or talent scout is going to do if you hand them a manuscript? They're not going to read the introduction. They could give a rat's ass. They don't care. They're not going to read the foreword. I don't care who wrote it. They don't care. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go to the first page. They're going to read the first sentence. It's called the hook. The most famous one was, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. That's Tale of Two Cities, right? That's a hook. All of Dickens's books, first sentence, whole book laid out. Well, this was a book pitch. President Trump gave us the agenda in the first sentence at inauguration. You know, I didn't catch it until yesterday, until Maggie and I were trying to find the Golden Age soundbite, and she goes, well, here's from the inauguration, and I go, like, okay, it's the first thing that he says, and now it's all starting to make sense. Back to the story. And then Tyler Durden says, how is this not the biggest political talking point right now? Since October of 2019, native-born U.S. workers have lost 1.4 million jobs over the same period. Foreign-born workers have gained 3 million. How does that happen when someone has decided to wage war on the United States or any other country from within? That's one of the ways you would do it. You know, some of us have been talking about this and about how that when you look around you, if you see fellow Americans, if you don't see the future, there's something wrong with you. If you look and you see all these people here that you know and you used to love, and you go like, yeah, not you, I don't mean you. Look, no, I'm looking way out. Yeah, that's the Rio Grande. See all those people on the other side? That's the future. There's something wrong with you. I mean, seriously. So, the composition of the labor market would become one of the biggest political talking points, one which was hammered constantly by Trump in his political rallies and during his debate with Biden. We bring this up because deep inside the jobs report, the one that just came out today, we get the best news shit. After literally flatlining in late 2019, having plunged during the corona doom and barely recovering to its pre-COVID levels, the number of native-born workers is now back to its all-time high, 132.228 million. Now, that is as a result of, and that number is going to go up. That's as a result of the onshoring of manufacturing and the tariffs that are going to go into effect. By the way, did you hear the story that the Chi-Coms are quietly backroom dealing with Howard Lutkin and going like, okay, Rook, you Rook are here. We need Chinese turkey need to be sold aroma. We cut a tariff on American good to 25%. Okay, we roll a tariff, but you have to let a giant container cargo ship sitting in Hong Kong when you have to red container ship must cross ocean, okay? Cross ocean and go to Port of San Francisco and unload our tchotchkes. And Americans can then buy tchotchke at Walmart, okay? We don't need the crap. You know, I don't care if they lower their tariffs to zero. I've said this once a couple of times in the last month or so. I'll say it again. What American businessman needs to sell something to the Chinese communists to survive? If you do, you're in the wrong business. Quit. Start something else up. Be an American, damn it, and stop acting like you don't care. Seriously. Well, what if it's something? Okay, if it's something that they really need, like oil, maybe. Okay, fine. That's a completely and entirely different conversation. And then they say that that's because in April, the number of native-born workers surged by just over 1 million. Can you imagine that? 1 million young men or young to middle-aged men went back to work who were born in the United States. I remember telling people in February of 2020, just before the corona hoax hit, I remember telling people that for the first time since the 1990s, there's a couple of unemployment numbers. You just kind of learn them because I've been doing this every day for 34 years, so you just kind of know what they are. This is like deep dive, boring as hell crap, so I'm not going to give you the whole story. One of them is, it's called workforce participation is the number. The workforce participation number had been going down since the Clinton administration. And it had been going down since the early 90s. And it wasn't a roller coaster like this. It was just a slow graph like this. And what was can you tell me, or if you had to guess, when was the first time the workforce participation number actually stopped, flatlined, and then started to go up? During Trump 1.0. By 2020, workforce participation had begun to grow for the first time since, I want to say, like 1994. And that was why. Because you had someone that was saying, people have to work. You can't pay people not to work. And we need to be working on things that we build here in the United States. This entire project is ultimately going to work. You have to give it time. And as my friend Andy Schechtman of Miles Franklin was saying today, Mike, this is a noble endeavor that none of us ever thought anyone would ever undertake. And yet here we are. We have a president that's actually doing it, and he doesn't seem to care. As a matter of fact, it seems to me the more that they try to roast him on the fire of malarkey and satanic media pressure, the more he just goes, Terry, you're not listening. It says on his knuckles, MS-13, you're not listening. It's almost like he enjoys the confrontation. Okay. And then they say, okay, or so many people, or as many people have already said, this is what a majority of Americans voted for. Actually, they voted for something else, too. After hitting a record high in December, the last month of the Biden regime, the number of federal government employees has declined for 4 consecutive months. That gets a big one. To the lowest level in over a year. We're going to play you some DOGE clips in the next segment here from the DOGE Bros, the DOGE Nerds. And that trend is going to continue. I hope that there are some prosecutions in the future as well, because there are a lot of people that are working, I'm a civil servant. No, you're a civil criminal. As a matter of fact, you're not even very civil. You're just a criminal. I think that number is going to continue to go down, and I look forward to it. So big news here today, and again, I think that the trend is that it portends really well. Now, earlier today, if you were listening on the Crusade Radio Network channel, you would have heard this.
Okay, Kelly. What is it? What is it you want?
Well, I want 15 Thompsons, 2 .30 caliber machine guns, 2 bazookas, 2 field radios, and enough supplies and ammunition to last a platoon of men in the field for 3 days.
Oh, that all?
Nope. I want the intelligence reports for this whole sector, and I need them in the next 2 hours.
That's nice. What's in it for me?
You see action?
What kind of action?
This kind of action.
Hello, is he? Yeah, it's me. Listen, get me a quotation for gold on the Paris market. Yeah, now, and hurry it up. How much more where this came from?
14,000 bars.
14,000 bars? 14,000? Hey, sweetheart, have yourself a bottle of booze. You're beautiful. 14,000 bars. Say that bow. That's beautiful. Where is it?
In a bank?
In a bank? You're getting pretty ambitious, aren't you? I mean, to think you can blow a bank and get away with it.
It's behind enemy lines.
Behind enemy lines. It could be the perfect crime. Hello? Yeah, here is he. Right. I got you. See, 1, 7, carried 2, gold, 54, see. $1.6 million. Okay, Kelly.
All right, Crusaders, you know what to do. 844-527-8723. We'll be back.
Of Dahlonega, Georgia, but we do know there's a pound of gold in the Mike Church vault, and all you have to do to win is listen for the golden sound of the day, weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. The market report, the Dow Jones closed up 0.21%. The S&P was up as well, 0.63%. NASDAQ climbed 1.52%. In National Day calendar news, today is School Lunch Hero Day, dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias and the schools a better place to be. It's also National Space Day. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering education in young people in the hopes that they'll be inspired to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. It's Life Insurance Day, and it's National Truffle Day. It was Petruccelli of Cambrai, France, believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle. That was back in December of 1895. Truffles became much more prevalent in 1902 after the Prestat chocolate shop opened in London. In fact, Prestat still sells Napoleon III truffles made to the original recipe. Our quote of the day, "In my deepest wound I saw your glory and it dazzled me." St. Augustine of Hippo. And our saint of the day, St. Athanasius. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Music is a huge part of any good movie, and Mike Church's The Road to Independence, the movie, has an awesome original score and soundtrack. Hi, this is Jim Mosier. I composed and performed the RTI score from the opening Freedom track to the emotional finale, and it's still one of my favorite works of my 30-year career in music. This score is a big part of The Road to Independence, and you'll hear it in beautiful 6-channel surround sound when you purchase a copy of the 2-DVD Director's Edition of The Road to Independence, available now at mikechurch.com/road. By the way, the director guy, even though he's a royal pain, did a pretty good job too. Learn the real story of the Founding Fathers' struggle for independence.
Order your copy of The Road to Independence, the Director's Cut 2-DVD set at shop.mikechurch.com.
Brother Mike Church presents Flashback. Sinful things that were happening 20 years ago. Jurassic Park, the remake of Godzilla, and the beginning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Are either of you homosexuals?
You mean like flaming, or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
Let's hope and pray no one will ever confess those sins again. The Mike Church Show, preaching and teaching from his abbey, while living here in the present on the Veritas Radio Network's crusade.
The fastest hour in all of broadcast media, the Powuh Hour. Mike Church Show, the one and only. Glad to have you with us. Chat room's open at crusadechannel.com/chat. This portion of the program brought to you by the WinAPoundOfGold.com contest. Someone on May the 23rd of this month is going to be awarded 1 pound of gold bars. Somebody's going, they don't make gold bars that small. Yes, they do. They're called 10-gram gold bars. And it's a great little denomination, because if you want to cash them in one at a time and not all at once, well, then that's what you can do. Someone is going to win a pound of gold. That's a troy pound of gold, and I'm going to give it to you. And if the contest goes as we think it is, I'll even deliver it. We'll do a show together. How's that? So the contest started in earnest. You can buy a ticket. You can only win one. Don't you want more than one chance? Go to Maggie's going, yeah. Go to WinAPoundOfGold.com. And unlike any other radio broadcast contest, this is the greatest one in the history of broadcasting. When you buy your ticket or you win it, you automatically become an affiliate. That means you have a unique URL and QR code. It's already made. It's yours. You can use it. You don't have to, but you can. You share it with your friends and family. Maybe you're a social media influencer. You share it on your social media. People click it and buy a ticket to win the gold. I want that gold, Kelly. I'm going to get that gold, Kelly. You get a credit for it. Sell 5 tickets, you get a free ticket. How great of a deal is that? So if you win a ticket, like, for example, let's go to the telephones. John, how you doing?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, you're first up here today on the Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. You win.
I can't believe it. That's what I told Maggie. I said, no way.
Well, and you know what? You're not Schaefer. You're not Ashley. You're not BK. You're not one of the usual suspects that's in the lineup of the first.
Exactly.
You're like, she said your name, and I go like, wait a minute. I don't know. Is he a Crusader? Are you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I drive a truck, so I just have to. I'm glad you're back on at 6. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, where are you, John, if you're driving a truck?
I just came through Memphis, headed back to Jackson.
All right. Well, there's a song about there's a Johnny Cash song about when going to Jackson, isn't there?
Well, that's he's going to Jackson, Tennessee. I'm going to Mississippi.
See, you didn't have to tell anyone that. No one would have known that. So
well, I'm being honest.
All right. Well, John, you are the first one, brother. I am so happy for you, dude. What would you do with a troy pound of gold?
I'm not even going to worry about that right now.
You're the perfect winner, brother. Well, look, we're going to send you an email, and you just go redeem your ticket, and you do what you want with the affiliate. If you want to play, if you don't, you just hang out and be here now on May the 20th.
I'm here every morning.
I'm
here every morning.
All right, brother.
I'm here with you, brother. I've been here for 20 years.
Oh, I
just never called in.
Well, you know, it's great to meet you after 20 years.
You too.
All right.
Nice talking to you.
All right, John.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. God bless you. Okay, folks, winner number 1 in the clubhouse. I can hear, this is so funny. I love this. This is why live radio, you can't ever replace boring-ass podcast with what we just did. That does not happen on a podcast. Oh, yeah, just a continual stream of outrage porn is exactly what we need. When she answered the phone and said, congratulations, you're caller number 5, I can hear, I can hear him scream through the handset all the way over here. And she goes, well, wait a minute. And then he goes, Maggie, is it Maggie? And she goes, it is. Who is this? And then she talks to him, and she gets his information, and then she puts her hand over the receiver, and she goes, I don't think we know him. She's like, I don't think I've ever talked to him before. What a amazing, great start to our contest. Now, all of you people listening on 990 AM WGSO, you know you got me. Every weekday now at 11 a.m. Nolans time. If you want to get in on the contest, because there's a very good chance that today is like, we're not going to play the soundbite in the 11 a.m. hour every day. There's a very good chance it's going to get played between 6 and 9 a.m. You guys can listen. Right? And it's free to listen wherever you find the Crusade Radio Network, including on our app. You can download it if you just go to crusadechannel.com/app. You will find it'll pick out what app is supposed to be on your phone, and it'll download it automatically. So that's easy. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Rumble. You can find us on x.com, and of course at crusadechannel.com. All right, we're going to do some digital media files here. Let's talk about the DOGE Bros for a minute. Start at the top. I played this one earlier, but most of you probably did not hear it. Start at the top with number 10. Jesse Waters did a signal service. This is what the thing that I like most about this particular interview, because it's not what you expect. The guys and the gals at Fox News have been getting some kind of carte blanche access to the Trump administration. You know, when President Trump sat down with Terry Moron of ABC News, that was like a one-off, because they have been pretty much exclusively talking to the host on Fox, and I'm thinking that some kind of a deal was made because this isn't a one-off. This continues to happen. But I thought that this one was really well done, because the Democrat Party has pitched this imaginary group of sinister Marvel Comics villains. You know, you got the Kingpin. You got the Green Goblin. I guess Elon's the Green Goblin because he's got big ears. You have the Sandman and all the usual suspects. And they are being portrayed as these sinister, conniving, evil geniuses that are here to wreck and destroy the majesty of our loving, kind, caring federal magistracy. You see, big 18th century word, magistracy. You could call it government. The picture, though, that has been emerging, especially with Elon. I know a lot of people have hang-ups with Elon. I don't agree with Elon on everything. I don't agree with Trump on everything. They don't agree with me on everything. That's fine. We don't have to 100% agree. But I tell you one of the things that I do appreciate about Elon and Trump. They never lose their sense of humor. You Democrats don't have a sense of humor. You really are just miserable people. You really are. And you should really just step aside from politics for the next 4 years. Go find yourself something else to do. Turn the news off, okay? We're going to succeed without you, okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. So instead of dreaming up fantasies in your mind where a comet hits and kills all of us and you're the only one that survives, why don't you just tune out, okay? Why don't you just go away? You know, maybe go somewhere where there are happy people, like at a Catholic monastery somewhere. And maybe some of the grace of happiness will rub off on you. Because your constant desire for human misery and suffering is really not good for you. And it's certainly not good for the people that are all around you. And by the way, you're losing every battle that you're fighting in the public. You are losing every single day. And it gets worse for you every day that goes by that you open your stupid mouth. The best thing you can do, since you hate us all and you want all of us to fail miserably, you know, and I can't imagine what it's like to sit out there somewhere and just fantasize about people being killed, losing everything in a bankruptcy, maybe, having a business go belly up, having a tax bill they weren't expecting thrown at, or whatever other miserable and misery that this political party wants to visit upon all the rest of us. And here we all are, just smiling and going like, that's pretty cool. Now, the thing that I appreciate the most about Jesse Waters' interview with the Doge guys is there's love in that room. There's humor. There's camaraderie. They think they're doing something good for you and I, our kids, and our grandkids. So we'll start at the top with the funniest one, and we'll get it out of the way. It's the question the world wants to know. Who is Big Balls?
Who's Big Balls?
It's me. That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. And you're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
yeah, they're like, what?
And Jesse Waters is looking like,
Is this
what?
the
Milk
most
of what?
basic responses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because like the upstream thing, which is distributing the money, literally has no checks and no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Okay, think of the scene in Office Space. Hi, Peter. Hey, Bob and Bob. Mind if I call you Bobs? No, it says here that you are in accounting. And that you are, and then they lay the thing out. And then one of the Bobs goes, could you tell me a little bit about your day? And then Ron Livingston, the actor who plays Peter in the movie, goes, well, Bob, it starts at around 8 a.m., actually around 8:15. I sneak in the back door so Lumberg doesn't see me come in late. And then I kind of just sneak my way to my desk, and I sit down, I hit Control, Alt, Delete, and then the computer screen fires up, and I just sort of stare at the computer screen for the next half hour or so and space out. And then one of the Bobs goes, space out? He goes, yeah, it looks like I'm working, but I'm really not doing anything. He goes, what do you do next? Well, that's pretty much what I do all day. As a matter of fact, in any given day, I'd say I do a grand total of about 15 minutes worth of work. This sounds to me like what the DOGE Bros are discovering is happening inside Mordor on the Potomac River and around among an estimate, I'm going to give an estimate, between 6 and 8 million people who just fire their computer screens up, or they stay at home and do it, and just stare at them and just sort of space out for a half an hour or so. Here's the big operative question. How did this happen? And I keep seeing in our Crusader Stadium chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat, people going like, okay, what I want to know is how did this happen? How did this come about? Well, it came about from the most extraordinary experiment in mass-scale apathy in the history of the human race. It is almost as though we had mad scientists. If you're a new listener and you're wondering why I just did that, well, because we all worship at the altar of science. Because without science, we're nothing. We're bugs. Which is why if you see someone in a white lab coat walking towards you, stop what you're doing, throw your all science is great prayer mat down, get on your knees and... What are you saying? You don't like scientists? Most of them, no, not so much. Now, the ones that are actually like experimenting with things and are actually like forming hypotheses to see if they work and not going like, okay, when I want to prove that this transgender mouse here would actually go tranny if I put a male body part on his leg here. So I'm going to, we're going to make trans out of these mice. So there's no, these people are fakes. So how did this happen? This happened as a result of too much wealth. We were obscenely wealthy. And then people thinking, because we have been shielded from our debt. The $230 trillion in unfunded liability check will come due if they don't fix it. And by the way, there's no evidence whatsoever that this Congress, led by the Zion King, Mike Johnson, is going to fix it. Play the next Doge. This one is all about the Institute for Peace, which is not an Institute for Peace at all. Talk about a misnomer. And then we're going to talk about what Trump did yesterday because the Zion King refused to do it.
The United States Institute of Peace is definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with,
yeah.
Ironically.
Least peaceful.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban.
Oh,
this is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So as a contractor, they received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or abroad.
Or, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like, when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today, there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay, let's hit that point right there. That's when we decided that we're going to have to do this because President Trump had said that we needed to do this, et cetera, et cetera. I want to go to yesterday, and I'm going to try to find it here on his Truth Social. So yesterday, President Trump goes out on Truth Social and says that he's going to sign an executive order where he is going to eliminate funding for National Communist Radio and National Communist TV. You know it as NPR and LPB or whatever distinction it comes under. And he says in that, and basically my read on that is this. When he asked for this to be done, Congress had a hearing on this, and they brought the woman in there who is the CEO or whatever of NPR. They brought her in there. She basically just sneered down her nose at the members of the House and said, like, no, we don't consider our actions here. We're NPR. You will obey the great and powerful NPR. And apparently the president was watching that because he saw it, and there must have been a conversation to somewhere along the way where Trump must have intimated to Johnson, I want to bring this to an end. You need to bring this to an end. And they didn't do it. And so Trump goes like, okay, fine. I waited and I waited and I waited. I'm going to do it. And so he wrote an executive order, and he signed it, and he said the funding for the NPR and I think it's CPB, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I'm bringing it to an end. I'm not going to distribute the money. You're all fired. Now, for someone that's actually working in broadcast media and has for 34 years, and from my friends on 990 AM WGSO, you guys, we all know what it's like to make a payroll. We all know what it's like to sell airtime, right? To support the craft that we love in radio broadcasting. And, we have to go out to clients, to restaurants, and to hardware stores, and whatever other kind of businesses, and convince them that our dedication to our craft of broadcasting is such, and that we will be great stewards of their product, and that we will promote it, and we'll wrap around the promotion of the product, the show, and the entertainment, and all that. My point is, we work for this. I don't take it for granted. Jeff doesn't take it for granted. No one on this does, any of the terrestrial radio station out there takes this stuff for granted. Well, NPR gets to take it for granted. And not only that, they get to act all communist-y and stuff. And I don't like it. And Jude, if I would have been somewhere where I could have publicly shouted, huzzah, or whatever, or, you know what I felt like saying when I heard the news that Trump had done that? Let's go, Brandon. I almost felt like a let's go, Brandon moment. This is a reordering of the entirety of this wretched framework called the federal government of the United States, and it's infected all 50 of the states. Quickly here, because it's a free phone Friday, and I'd love to hear from you. By the way, email works as well. I am King Dude. I am King Dude at protonmail.com. I interviewed a member of the Mississippi legislature. And somebody may go, why Mississippi? Well, I try to interview members of the Louisiana legislatures. They won't write me back. I've written a half a dozen of them. I've written the governor and going like, dude, I'm in your state, bro. I broadcast internationally and around the world during the Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. Why can't I get 5 minutes? In any event, so a guy from Mississippi said he talked to me. This is like a year and a half ago. So I interviewed him. I said, let me just ask you the giant, there's a crazy ant in the attic, Larry, screaming to get out. It's called the deficit, okay? It's a federal government. I said, let me ask you the giant question that people want to know. Why don't the states tell their members of Congress to stop borrowing on their own children's future? And he goes, Mr. Church, that's a great question, and I'm going to tell you the answer. Because we're afraid. We are afraid to go it on our own in Mississippi, and so is everyone else in every other state. We would rather have Congress and the federales borrow trillions of dollars that our kids have to pay back than stop the insanity. And I said, well, at least you're honest about it. And he goes, well, I'm just telling you, that's why. And this is the dirty little secret that people, when you want to squawk and complain about the government, and this is why I think Trump basically telling the Zion King in Congress, like, if you're not going to do this, then I'm going to do it, but you're going to codify it into law. That you need to stop this. This needs to stop, and it stops at the top. Like, I hear all these people that are squawking and crying, we can't fix Medicaid, you can't address Medicaid. Why not? Why not? If the state of Louisiana can't figure out a way to care for our own poor people, then we shouldn't be a state. Here's an idea. Why not tell the feds, hey, sucker, we're not sending you any more money, okay? We will pay. We're not sending you laundering money to you so you can skim off 60% of it and then send it back to us so we can care for our people. And I know somebody's going, yeah, they tried that in Texas. Yeah, you know what? End the income tax, end all the other taxes. This will come to an end. Tariffs, duties, and imposts. Okay, folks, have a great weekend. Remember, go to winapoundofgold.com. Get your tickets this weekend. God bless you and Mary keep you. We'll see you Monday.